Well, we have the media standing up for justice, fighting back against Department of War Chief Pete Hegseth. I'm going to share this story with you guys. It's fascinating. And we've also got blatant corruption coming out. How about this? Let's start off with the corruption. Here's Donald Trump. They're doing this Middle East summit, and the president of Indonesia, Prabowo Subianto, asks Trump if he can get the info for Trump's son, Eric. Now, why is this a big deal? Well, Eric runs Trump Organization. I'm guessing he doesn't want to meet with Eric because he wants a photo op. I'm assuming he doesn't want a photo op with Eric Trump. My guess is there'll be a Trump tower being built in Indonesia very soon. Here's the moment on the hot mic.
Can you meet Eric?
So he says, "Can I meet Eric?" And Trump says, "I'll have Eric call you." And then Trump says, "I'll have him do that. He's such a good boy." Oh, that good boy, Eric. What a weird conversation. Now, if you're the Indonesian president, maybe you've got a thing for sons of the president who run billion-dollar companies, But in the world I live in, this would be such a big story in any other universe. In any other universe where the president of the United States is giving his contact information to another president for his son who runs the family business, a family business that Trump claims he's divested from, this would be a big story, but not here. So he says, "I'll have Eric call." And then the president says, "Eric or Don Jr." And then you can't hear what Trump says. And then Trump says, "You're fantastic. I'll have one of them call you." So there it is. So, hey, just friendly businessmen. And the problem with this is he's the president of the United States. That's the problem with this. Well, we've got media finally growing a backbone. Joint statement from CNN, Fox News, NBC, ABC, CBS, rejecting Pete Hegseth's pledge demand. We join virtually every other news organization in declining to agree to the Pentagon's new requirements, which would restrict journalists' ability to keep the nation and the world informed of important national security issues. The policy is without precedent and threatens core journalistic protections. We will continue to cover the U.S. military, and each of our organizations has done for many decades, upholding the principles of a free and independent press. God bless America. If we can't agree on literally anything else right now, can we at least agree about transparency? Now, you might not like CNN or Fox News because of their opinions and their political leanings. I understand that. But we cannot live in a world where we have to acquiesce to what the Pentagon wants us to be able to talk about or cover. If a journalist has a question that they need to ask the president or the Department of War or any of the other cabinet members, we need to live in a country where people are held accountable for the decisions that are made. It's literally the only thing that's going to keep us accountable in any way whatsoever. Well, here's an update to the Trump ceasefire. Trump got this big ceasefire deal done. Everyone's giving him credit. Well, 7 Palestinians were killed after Israel opened fire over violations of ceasefire. Also, Hamas executed a handful of people that might have been, considered to be pro-Israel. I don't think they were Israeli, but I think they were people that were considered to be Palestinian but working with Israel. It's like, this is what I wasn't holding my breath for. The fact that they say there's this big ceasefire, and literally on one moment, this thing can be lit back on fire. But let's just try to get everybody fed, and that's the important thing right now is everyone who's famined and malnourished, get them fed, and then I don't have a solution, but I'm just here to say, you can say ceasefire all you want, but a deal's not a deal till it actually plays out. Here is a powerful moment. Someone from Palestine here makes a video. Everyone's praising Trump for this amazing ceasefire deal. This is powerful stuff. Have a listen.
People told me, thanks Trump for the ceasefire. Let's thank him in the right way. Thank you for giving the IDF billions of dollars to defend themselves from our children. Thank you for using the veto not once, 10 times to make sure the bombs falling for us. Veto. Thank you for sending smart missile. It's so smart. Always find their way to our children.
So thanks for using smart missiles. So smart, they always find their way to our children. And look, the guy's got a point. 85% of their country, of every 85% of where they live is destroyed. There's no running water, no plumbing. Literally, they're going to have to take bulldozers and just plow the whole thing. There is literally so many bodies that have not been recovered under rubble. Something like, tens of thousands of women and children have been killed. And we have to remember 60% of Israel's military campaign has been sponsored and funded by the United States of America. Again, Biden was bad on this issue. Kamala Harris attached to Biden, also bad. People wouldn't call this a genocide. We're literally one of the only first world countries not calling it what it is. And we have collective blood on our hands because of that. Now, I'm not blaming you and I, like people that speak out about it, but our government funded this. Why did they fund it? Because we have this weird alliance happening in the Middle East because we receive so many donations from lobbyists, and it's a whole thing, right? But call it what it is. Yes, it was a tragedy, this terrorist attack that took place. Absolutely. It's complicated. Like, you can be happy that all the hostages got home. Absolutely. It's heartbreaking. But we've also got to deal with the fact that this country is ruined. And what happens to the people that survived this mess? Journalists, hospitals bombed, so many kids disfigured and lost limbs. And it's just brutal out there. And my fear is that people say, oh, ceasefire, great. And it's like, now's the rebuilding phase. Will the Palestinians have any say? Will they get to move back to their homes? Will they have homes? Lots of questions out there. Here's Don Lemon interviewing people about the police brutality and ICE brutality that's happening across the country. The masked police force that has literally no accountability. They're getting $50,000 bonuses for signing up. And here's Don Lemon rightfully asking a Republican, like, are you okay with this?
How do you feel about what's going on here?
I support it.
Why is that?
This is America, man. Got to do things the right way.
How do you feel about due process?
You're getting into a sketchy line there. You're trying to...
Well, due process. Listen, you got to do things the right way, just without due process.
Throw out.
I just asked you a question. How do you feel about due process?
I think due process is important in a lot of standings, but when you come down to the immigration, it's impossible.
See, that's the issue with due process. You don't get to pick and choose when you use it. Due process is not just for American citizens, it's anybody on our soil, or at least it's supposed to be. So when you arrest people and then ask questions later, you are violating due process. And this just goes to show it's a complicated issue because it's like, well, it's America, you got to do what you got to do. But does that mean you just get rid of the Constitution?
Why is it different with immigration? Due process has allowed all people who are in the United States, even if you're not a citizen.
Thank you.
We beg to differ there.
It's just that's the Constitution. That's the law. That's America. We can't have an exception for immigration.
I don't support illegal immigration, period. That's all there is to it.
Well, I guess you can just murder them then. Is that what he's claiming? If you don't support it, at what line do you take away their rights? Do you just allow masked people to throw them away? I mean, they're coming out. They're coming out with the statistics. It is such a majority of nonviolent immigrants that are being detained, and it doesn't solve the problem whatsoever. It just doesn't. So you've got Chicago federal agents. You got the pastor getting shot in the head with a pepper ball. Here, when confronted about this issue, Mike Johnson brings up the naked rally in Portland. What's on this guy's mind?
But it's not risen to that level. What I've seen is the abuse of law enforcement by radical leftist activists. Most recently, the most threatening thing I've seen yet was the naked bicyclers in Portland who were protesting ICE down there. I mean, it's getting really ugly.
Is he joking or is he getting a hard on? Or maybe both. I'm not sure. He's like, those naked protests. You might have to send me to the front lines in order to cover these naked protesters. I got to get a good look at all of the crimes they're committing. I'd like for them to maybe commit some crimes on my back afterwards.
They have attacked, physically assaulted officers. People have been arrested, okay? This is serious business.
Yeah, people get arrested in every city, in every state, every day. That's why we have law enforcement. The issue is that they sent feds in, they sent ICE in to ruffle feathers and to create a provocative situation so that they could claim they were justified. There was no issue. As so much so that the protesters are all wearing like inflatable Barney costumes, guys dressed as a, inflatable frog here, in order just to show how non-threatening they are.
I think it's great. I think it shows that we're not violent.
What kind of suit are you wearing, Seth?
It's an inflatable frog suit.
Gotcha. And what brought you out to the protest to begin with?
To begin with, I personally, as part of the Mexican community, Latino community, I don't like seeing my neighbors, my community members, my family being kidnapped, essentially, and being disappeared without due process.
Yeah, give people their due process. Instead, they're going to immigration meetings. They're nabbing people before they even, people that already have green cards. We cannot forget the goalposts have been moved. It used to be, well, we just want people to come in the right way. And now that people are going through the immigration process, they're getting deported too. No one's ever going to want to do it the right way after seeing how they're treated, right? Well, how about that? I mean, look, there's always a business to be made once there's a viral moment happening.
Want to rock the frog suit like the protesters in Portland, Oregon? You can get it right here in the TikTok shop.
So, USA, baby. You want one of those items? We got it for sale right here. Straight from the front lines of war-ravaged Portland. All right, so there's a bunch of bananas playing trombone. There's a kazoo. A bunch of people wearing these frog hats. Folks, this is America. Listen, I've never seen a violent trombone. I've never seen a trombone that wasn't just in a happy moment. Stephen Miller would disagree.
When ICE officers have to street battle against Antifa, hand-to-hand combat every night to come and go from their building.
There it is. I mean, come on, they're coming for the squirrels, folks. These culture war issues, you just can't get enough of them. I mean, here is another clip about these naked protesters. This is from the Will Cain show. These guys, I mean, I don't know how they can say this with a straight face, but to think that some bros running around with their noodle out are a danger to ICE, I don't believe it.
What do you think about the naked bike ride? The weekend we're striking a historic peace deal in the Middle East. This is at least one of the voices, one of the ways the left has demonstrated their point of view.
Hold on, wait, you can't get peace in the Middle East and have a naked bike ride? Are we supposed to postpone the naked bike ride till it's convenient for our Republican friends?
Well, what's the point of view? Like, I don't really see much of a point of view there. And Trump is negotiating historic peace deals in the Middle East, and then he's deploying the National Guard to help protect our federal agents. Okay,
so they clearly both got the same talking point. Talk about the Middle East peace deal, and then talk about Junior's dick hanging out in Portland. You can't have if your dick's hanging out, we will not get peace in the Middle East. I hope you guys understand how severe this is. We did a ceasefire deal, but one of the points on the 20-point plan is that Chad over here has to keep his balls in his pants.
In Portland, because the local police force won't protect our agents there. So I really don't understand what they're protesting. They're protesting us enforcing federal immigration law. Are they protesting us wanting law and order?
I don't know if they're this dumb or if this is just a game they play. I truly don't at this point. I mean, it reminds me of the argument when Colin Kaepernick was taking a knee and everyone was like, he's anti-military. And Colin Kaepernick's like, I'm actually protesting police brutality. And they're like, he doesn't support the troops. Actually, it's like they're not listening. So here's a former ICE officer. Let's end on this one. Here's a former ICE officer, former cop having advice for ICE agents violating people's Fourth Amendment right, which is basically taking people, seizing people. We have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Liberty is being taken away from people, and there's this idea that there might be prosecutions in the future. Lawyers, civil liberty lawyers, might be knocking on people's doors to say, hey, you got thrown down by that ICE agent, you deserve some compensation.
Messages for anybody working for ICE that does not understand what qualified immunity means. When I was a police officer, I didn't have a full grasp of what that meant either. No shame, but you need to understand what it means. After all this dust has settled, what's going to happen is that civil rights attorneys are going to contact the individuals whose Fourth Amendment rights have been clearly violated. Those attorneys are going to argue that you should have known and that the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution was already firmly established, which it is. Just to recap, the Fourth Amendment guarantees citizens the right to be free from unreasonable search and seizure.
So yeah, this idea that, they're being so reckless right now. They're basically kidnapping and asking questions later. There was an interesting interview recently about an American citizen born in Ventura County. He got caught up for days, maybe even weeks in detention, pepper sprayed, and they put him on like suicide watch, and he was a U.S. citizen. I mean, what they're doing is they're accusing people of like resisting arrest, and then they're detaining them, and then they're dropping them because there's actually no evidence of them resisting arrest. They did the same to that news reporter who they arrested. It's like if this person was hitting police or being violent, they would have been charged with a crime, but they ended up dropping charges after. That's just not fair. That's not fair. And it's getting ugly out there. I mean, there's already people literally talking about having trials for all of the crimes being committed. And you have to think about that. Pam Bondi, you have to think about the different bad actors that are doing the president's bidding and violating Supreme Court law. Stephen Miller, I mean, will they face accountability in their lifetime? It's too soon to tell. But if I were them, I'd be absolutely terrified at the actions they're taking. I mean, we even saw there was private messages that were leaked of Pete Hegseth saying that he wanted to make sure he had the president's blessing before doing certain things because they understand they're not following the laws. My hope is eventually that, karma will come for people that aren't following those laws. And, look, again, it's complicated, right? Can we talk about immigration issues and how to solve them without talking about ripping families apart, zip tying children? Can't we find a way? Is the issue that urgent that we can't let due process play out? In my book, the answer is no. The issue is not that vital that it's worth destroying the Constitution that, our military has fought so hard to protect. I don't think it's worth it. Juice isn't worth the squeeze. Just an excuse for them to kind of maintain more control over us. Not here, not on my watch. All right, folks, that was a good one for you. We'll be back tomorrow morning. We got content twice a day, every day. Actually, bonus episode today at lunch. So if you didn't catch the bonus episode, go check that out. So we'll see you in the morning. I'm Dave. This is The Rush.